Hi, everyone. Another episode of the Cryptopolitan podcast. My name is Earl, the head of sales over at the Cryptopolitan, and today's guest is Leeor. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you got it spot on.
Fantastic. Well, Leeor, thanks for being on the show today. How you been doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Great to connect and, great to discuss what I've been up to and what we're working on here at Stacking DAO. But yeah, would love to just dive right in.
Fantastic. So, I guess tell people if they're not familiar with your project that's Stacking DAO, tell people what is it about, and then after that, what are you most excited about coming down the pipe?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm actually head of growth at Stacking DAO. Joined about 6 months ago.
Okay.
Personally, been working professionally in the crypto space since around 2017 or so. But at Stacking DAO, so we're the leading DeFi app on the Stacks blockchain. Stacks itself is the leading Bitcoin L2, which I know is a very kind of buzzy narrative that's going around right now,
Mm.
especially in the current market. There are a lot of projects that are trying to add more functionality to Bitcoin because we can all kind of agree that Bitcoin's a little bit slow, clunky, expensive, even though it's the most decentralized and liquid and most widely known crypto asset with the largest market cap. It's still missing a lot of functionality. So
Hmm.
the Stacks blockchain itself launched its mainnet in early 2021, really to enhance the programmability and functionality of Bitcoin. At Stacking DAO, so we launched our app almost a year ago. So we launched in December of last year. And as I mentioned before, we're the leading DeFi app on the Stacks blockchain. We're a pretty straightforward liquid staking protocol. So what you do is you mint our liquid staking token, which is stSTX, by depositing the Stacks token, STX. And just by holding that token, you automatically earn the consensus rewards, which are part of the proof of transfer consensus mechanism for the Stacks blockchain itself, which today is around 9% APY. So, that's a pretty
Nice.
high APY for, basically the consensus rewards, which has been quite attractive for our user base. And our growth has been quite strong since we launched. We've exceeded over $100 million in TVL, which is again just folks depositing stacks and minting our liquid staking token. We have about 40,000 active users that have interacted with our platform. And another great thing as well is, with liquid staking, it's kind of a core primitive for, DeFi for any blockchain or any ecosystem. And we've seen a whole, I would say, ecosystem of DeFi dApps that have launched and really started to embrace our liquid staking token, and also do all the fun things that you expect to see on other blockchains, things like lending markets or crypto-backed stablecoins, or DEX AMMs. So there's this whole kind of cottage industry of DeFi apps that have launched and have used stSTX, or liquid staking token, as kind of the core primitive or the core token to build additional yield opportunities on top of.
That's really cool. Are there any particular I guess categories that everyone's getting into? I mean, precious metals have gone nuts. Are people doing real estate off of your staking? I mean, like what other I guess structures are
Yeah,
people putting their money into on top? You know?
yeah, for sure. Let's see. So, one project is called Hermetica, and they've done a
Okay.
pretty innovative yield product where you basically deposit STSTX, and they have an option strategy, which according to their back testing has yielded around 16% APY.
Wow.
And so if you deposit stSTX into that vault, you can earn that additional yield, and it's purely accretive to the yield that you're earning just by holding the stSTX, which
So
again is
wait, you get the
9%.
9 from SDSDX and then you get the 16 from that as well on top?
Yes, yes, for
Holy
sure.
cow.
I mean, obviously that yield is not without any risks,
Risk. Of course. Yeah.
of course.
But that
But
make
yeah, I
that
mean,
makes an interesting infrastructure. So you get the regular yield, and then you get the yield on top. Of course, there's risk upon risk upon risk, but I mean that's still, a part of your portfolio should kind of be, in the fun money, right?
yeah, yeah, and there's been other opportunities to earn other forms of yield. So Zest
Mm.
protocol is the lending market on the Stacks blockchain. It's pretty similar to Compound or Aave. You deposit stSTX or stable coins, and you earn a yield, or you can borrow against those assets as well. So again, pretty similar to other lending markets that exist on other blockchains. Another project is Bitflow, which is a DEX AMM. And so
Okay.
that's a two-sided LP liquidity pool where you can deposit STX and stSTX. So it's like
Hmm.
a stable pair or stable swap between the two assets. And you earn also additional rewards, essentially LP rewards, for depositing into that pool. So, those are all, I would say, are folks that are already familiar with, Ethereum and, Solana and other ecosystems that have a pretty thriving DeFi activity. They're probably used to these types of applications and use cases. And so all of that is coming to Bitcoin essentially.
That's really cool. So for all the OGs, holding Bitcoin, yeah, there's more functionality coming down the pipe. Has anyone ventured into, and this is just a random question that came out of the blue, like crowdfunding on the side of the stSTX platform as well? Can people use that for crowdfunding or any of that sort of thing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is anyone building a
Yeah.
layer on top of that?
I
I
mean,
know
you're
this.
you're giving you're giving me some cool ideas, or maybe some
Absolutely.
listeners on the podcast, they have some good ideas they can run with now.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
not that I've seen as of yet. I've seen that there are prediction markets that have started to pop up on
Hmm.
stacks. So, I still think there's a massive design space for, folks that want to build within this ecosystem. There's obviously been an explosion of use cases, in recent memory, whether it's prediction markets, obviously with Polymarket,
Hmm.
or what else? Gaming, I think is still a big use case that's to come, as well as social media. We've seen with Farcaster and some of those apps as well. I think that what's I'm excited about for Stacks itself is that, it's a general purpose programming language and compute platform that anyone can build whatever applications that they want, while also leveraging the security of Bitcoin because everything settles to Bitcoin at the end of the day as the L1.
Right.
Uh, so, we haven't seen a lot of those use cases really come to Bitcoin just yet, but I think we're on the precipice of seeing that.
Well, people are definitely, they're attached to the Bitcoin, and obviously with the current price, everyone's like, this is cool. But then adding actual functionality on top makes it even better, right? So what was it? I think it was people love being right, and anything that backs the original decision of being more right makes them feel, stronger, right? So that's always a cool thing. Like even from a psychological standpoint, right? Like I'm in marketing and sales, and if someone
Mhm.
buys something, they always want to buy another thing that is cohesive to the thing that they just bought because it reinforces their first decision of, hey, you know what, I was right. Hey, now I'm more right. Right. So
Right. Yeah, that's funny. I think that there is this meme going around, especially for builders that are building on top of Bitcoin, that ETH was the test net, and so a lot of that functionality is now finally coming back to Bitcoin, and we kind of have the luxury of seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, and yeah, just seeing all these failed experiments or experiments that actually did very well,
right.
and kind of creating almost like a book as to what is the actual playbook of creating a
Right.
project that can thrive on Bitcoin.
Well,
Not to take anything away from other ecosystems. Like personally, I'm still very bullish on Ethereum and other blockchains as well, for both personally and also professionally. But I think there is something to be said about that.
absolutely. And there's the whole business model around the second mouse gets the cheese, right? So sometimes that's how it works too. So very cool. No, and much respect to other ecosystems, but like you said, everything goes back to, at the end of the day, the big old daddy, right? So cool. When you're not building stacks on stacks on stacks and changing the world, what do you do for fun?
Oh man. Now you're asking the tough questions. Okay. Let's see. So I live in Miami, and part of the reason I moved down here was because I've been an avid tennis player
Oh,
and
cool.
really loved the sport for basically my entire life. And
Huh.
I mean, never played professional or anything, but more so as a hobby. And so, I wanted to live somewhere where I could play tennis basically year round.
Right.
Not to mention Miami itself, kind of positioning itself as being a crypto hub and being very friendly toward people building within crypto as well as tech. So, big tennis player. You can catch me on the public courts at least a couple times a week, typically. Also love to watch tennis. I'm also big into cooking, kind of a health nut. So, I'm not the most, I guess, voyeuristic or adventurous when it comes to, what I'm cooking on any given day. It's pretty simple, typically like meat and fish or chicken dishes.
Right.
But that being said, I yeah, definitely love just kind of digging in, and it's almost like a form of like creative expressivity for myself to, express myself through what I'm cooking on any given day.
That's really cool. So yeah, I try to cook, but sometimes I burn
Mhm.
water, so my wife gets mad at me. So yeah, I don't yeah, that's not my forte. So I cook with my credit card. And my only tennis story is I'm a martial artist. So one day
Oh,
we thought
cool.
it was the intelligent idea that we're gonna learn how to use nunchucks today. And after a while of training, we're like, okay, now we're gonna bring out the tennis ball shooter. And you can't block and you can't dodge. All you can do is hit it with the nunchuck. And I have tennis ball shaped bruises all over my body after we were
Oh,
done.
wow.
But it was sure was fun. And then after that, you get really good with nunchucks because you have no choice. So
Wow. Well, can't say I'm brave enough to try that myself, but good on you.
no, it was definitely a crazy idea, but we all
Yeah.
got real good real fast because you don't have much of a choice. So yeah, but what a blast. So yeah, that's cool. Tennis and cooking, man. That's a good combination. And if you're trying to be a health nut, at least all you know what's going into the cooking, you know what's going into what you're eating because you're the one making it. So
Yeah. There was a recent study that came out that said that, there was research that examined, a lot of the most popular sports, and they saw that tennis, for whatever reason, actually improves longevity the most, compared to even you would think team sports, like basketball, baseball, or football. Well, maybe not football because obviously it's high contact,
yeah,
but
I was gonna say that hurts.
but you would think maybe team sports, would contribute more to longevity because there's more of like this social element. But I mean, apparently tennis came out on top.
I think it's because of the start stop and the running portion, right? Like they were discovering that hit training was a really cool thing, and then all of a sudden, what that's basically all you do in tennis. You sprint or you stand there, right?
Right.
So it's
Right.
just it's always stop go.
Yeah, I mean, I read this stat recently. I don't know if it's true. I hope it's not true because it's frightening as hell. But basically, from what I saw was that uh, once you only 90% of people over the age of 30 ever sprint again in their life. So that means like if once you turn 30, yeah,
You never really
90% of people
sprint.
never
I'd
really
have to
sprint.
agree with that. I'd have to agree with that. Like I play weird sports, so I'm a fan of. This is gonna sound weird. Archery tag. And
Oh,
so
wow.
you're really shooting each other with bows and arrows, but there's a big marshmallow on the end. So that you're not going to die. It doesn't hurt. It just hurts your pride when you get hit. That's about it. So, but nothing makes you want to run like getting shot at with arrows. So,
There you
and
go.
since
So
you're
you're
so
you're part
slow, you
you're
can
part of the
dodge
you're
them.
part of the 10%.
There you go. And it's essentially dodgeball for adults with bows and arrows, which is kind of hilarious. So
Mm.
there you go. That's awesome. Cool, cool. Well, the third question for the interview is, I guess, give the viewership a reason to connect. So, do you have anything coming down the pipe? I mean, what you just said was exciting. Like, I'm gonna go join. Um, but give the viewership another reason to come connect with you guys. And where do you want them? Where are you guys building community now? Is it on X? Is it on Discord? Is it on Telegram? How do you want people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Stacks blockchain itself is about to undergo a pretty large upgrade, which is called the Nakamoto upgrade. And what that's going to do is it's going to compress confirmation times and settlement times from tens of minutes down to about 5 to 10 seconds. So it's
Hmm.
going to really improve the UI UX experience of interacting with any Stacks applications. So it's something we're very excited about, like being one of the core DeFi builders within Stacks.
Yes.
Because right now, Stacks transactions are anchored to Bitcoin, and so they settle alongside Bitcoin. So that's why today it takes tens of minutes for transactions to go through. So as you
Hmm.
can imagine, that's very clunky and just not optimal UX. This upgrade is slated to happen sometime this month. So I think it's a great time for users to come in and really experience what everything that Stacks has to offer. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to earn 9% on your Stacks tokens, the easiest way to do that is come to Stacking DAO and mint stSTX. Just by holding the token, you earn that 9% yield. It really is the best way to be long Stacks because you auto compound your position with additional Stacks tokens. And something as well that I'd want to mention is I actually did a bit of analysis around this, but Stacks itself tends to be a high beta play on Bitcoin. So what that means is as Bitcoin rises, Stacks tends to do even better. Obviously, that cuts to the downside as well. Stacks is obviously more volatile than Bitcoin. But
Yes.
anyone that maybe wants to take on a bit more risk or have a bit of higher beta on Bitcoin, I would just encourage them to take a look at Stacks as one way to express that view.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and in terms of how to get in touch with me or with the project, so you can just go to stackingdao.com and see everything we offer there. We're also very active on Twitter. Our handle is at stackingdao. And also for me personally, my Twitter handle is just my full name, Leeor Shimron, and my DMs are always open. So if you want to chat or just say hi, feel free to ping me.
Fantastic. There you go. So, folks, hey, check out Stacking DAO, and that sounds like an awesome project. And looking forward to the future and what it brings. I'm curious to see what everybody ends up building upon it. That's going to be super exciting there as well. So,
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much. Really appreciate you having me.
cheers, Leor. Thanks for coming on the show.